Right, well, welcome to another in my series of the best sports cars to buy at auction. This is June's monthly video, and I'll be showing you several cars that I believe you could get into right now and not lose out in money on the short term. Now, as usual, we've got to factor in that there's going to be possibly something like 5% plus VAT commission when you buy a car for an online auction site. So bear that in mind. Plus, of course, you've got to do your own due diligence when you look into the details of the car. And you should do that in advance of bidding for the car, so you feel somewhat comfortable about actually purchasing the car. I mean, in my experience of buying the Integrale and the 94 Carrera GT Porsche, that I left something in the pot expecting to spend another 10 or 15% on maintenance of those cars, but they're older cars, so I was expecting that, and I managed to win the car at that budget. But as usual, like in a live event, don't get carried away. Have a fixed amount in your mind, and I'll be giving you what I think is the right price to pay for that car and what the market dictates is the price for that car. So without further ado, let's move into the first car, which is a 1999 Nissan Skyline GTR. This is the V-Spec model, and it's of course the R34 model, which is, I do believe it might actually be the most sought after. I think the newer shape, quite ugly GTRs, as superbly capable as they are, I think this is the most attractive of the Skylines. And in this colour, it looks amazing. A quick few pictures of this car. I'll go through, I'm going to do less cars this time, but go into a bit more detail about them. Of course, what they've got for their day, they were punching in performance terms of the Ferraris and the Lamborghinis. They had superb technology, things like four-wheel steer, and they obviously dressed it in pretty much what is a wolf's clothing, so it kind of looks the part and goes the part. I mean, look at that. That is a shape that will forever remain timeless, and of course, it has those kind of bulbous wheel arches, which obviously I have a weakness for, given I've got 94 Carrera GT and an Integrale. I've got a weakness for wheel arches. I just think it completely makes the styling of a car. It adds a kind of a haunch and aggressiveness that you can't match anywhere other than the car, although you can do somewhat aggressionly stances with the front and rear splitters and of course some mammoth rear spoiler. This has all three. So look at a few of the pictures. I think the colour really helps in this case. I think silver you can get away with. They're quite popular in black. You see a lot of white ones. But this colour, I think, makes it more contemporary looking. That's a fantastic picture. Really is. So now it's a coming soon car on collecting cars, as all of these ones that I'll be showing you are. So there's very little detail. So as this becomes live, all the details come into it below, and it might often be a YouTube video about it as well, kind of walk around, although they rarely start a car up, which is a shame. There's an example, it's 6% plus VAT with a minimum fee of 600. Now the one thing against it is the mileage, 118,000 miles. Now that was always going to have an impression on value. Often you shouldn't worry about this sort of mileage, especially in a German or Japanese car. In an Italian car, yeah, worry about it. In an English car, worry about it. But if it's German or Japanese, it's not so bad. And if it's been refurbished and had certain parts of the engine or the gearbox refurbished or redone or a new one put in, then of course that helps massively, because eventually things will start to happen that you have to pay out for, especially bushes and suspension componentry. You see these V-Spec R34s going for the 75 to 80,000 mark online across the usual websites like Pistonheads and Auto Trader. And they've got around about 100,000 miles. So 118,000 miles, and the fact it's on an online site, we've got to pay commission. I think 65 to 70 is, I think, the most you should pay for this car, depending on how much you really want it. But I'd probably try and steal this at 60. I don't think you can go wrong with that. And expecting you've got to pay the commission on top and a bit of work to get it up to the level that you'd want it to be if you're going to use it regularly, not just to sell it on. It will surprise me if this car ever goes down in price. Lamborghini Diablo VT 6.0. This was a later Diablo than the very early ones, and it's got extra parts to this car, a little bit more performance, that made it a better buyer's proposal. It was just a little bit further evolved. The first ones of any series often will carry the most mistakes. That's just pure logic, although the first one's still a wicked car, but this one's at least been fettled a bit more. Highly desired. Now these cars, this is the most expensive car I'll be showing you today. It's one of the most expensive cars I've come across in my series, really. They're very difficult to price because there's so few of them. And it will be mileage and provenance sensitive along with spec. Now this colour in Nero Pegaso, which is basically black with a black grey interior, is probably not the liveliest spec for this car. I mean, particularly I think the yellows, even the whites, yellows and whites really stand out. And of course you've got orange. Rarely see a lime Diablo, but that's also a cracking standout. Look at me, I've got a Lamborghini colour, and why not? So it's quite a subdued colour, but there's no getting away from the fact that it doesn't matter what colour Diablo is. I mean, look at that. What a car. Even now and forevermore, it's an instant showstopper. It's a head turner. It looks and sounds the mutt's nuts. I mean, look at that. And that's just the front view. Oh, Jesus. Wow. Look at that. It's got absolute ultra road presence. There's no real modern supercar, before we get to hypercars, no modern supercar that parked next to this will get more attention than this. You know, if you're standing next to this car and you name another car next to it below $500,000, people will be talking to you more than they talk to the owner of that car by a margin. They want to know about it. What's it like? How much it costs to run? How fast is it? What's it like with the manual gearbox? Oh, what made you buy this? What do you think of the Aventador? What do you think of the Murcielago or the Countach before it? Look at that. What a profile. It's still got that, like the Countach, got that one line from the front of the nose going right up to the top of the roof line, and then a lesser angle going right down to the back. That's what makes Lamborghinis look special. It's a simple but very effective styling cue. It's an event walking up to this car. Look at that. Look at that. So that's enough pictures. Again, it's coming soon car, so you've got no further actual details on the history of the car. So you do your due diligence beforehand. Fabulous. Now, I say difficult one to price. You see Diablos and VTs going, between 180 and 250,000 pounds. They've jumped up in the last few years. They're a car that hasn't suffered any form of depreciation in this time of COVID and austerity. And they will continue to go up. There's only one for sale, I think, on Auto Trader, Diablo, which is quite incredible and indicative that basically demand is probably outweighing supply, which means prices go up. I'm struggling to pitch this one. I thought I'd point it out because it's a car that is just going to go up and up and up, and you're going to have a fabulous time owning it. And funnily enough, it's not that bad to work on. I know a couple of people have got Diablos, actual Diablos, and it's surprised how inexpensive they are relative to what you're thinking are going to cost you. I mean, I think, given the mileage, which is incredible, 12,000 miles, 18,000 kilometres, this is going to go well above 200,000. If you get this below 200,000, it's this absolute steal, and you might have to go to prison because you'll be a first-class theft. I mean, I'd say it's 225 is the golden pricing for this car. I don't think you're ever going to go wrong long term, and in short term, you know, you might not be able to flip it. It might, well, I say that, it might be able to flip it, but you'll want to keep it. It's going to be an immense, awesome car with that superb low mileage. Of course, I reckon you put another 10,000 miles on it and it won't do much to the value because it's so low in the first place and they're so short of supply. If you really, really want the car, then I think you can go as high as 250. As I said, if you get it below 200, I'll be gutted if it goes below 200 because I'd have had this car below 200. I haven't got the money. And honestly, I'd have literally bid 199,500 for this car as an instant bid and let people worry about it after that. And I'd have been delighted to have had it for that price. Oh, a Lotus Exige. Now, my own Lotus Emira has many things in common with this car, mostly the engine and the gearbox. Of course, this car is a lot lighter. This shares the chassis, I think, believe, with the Evora. Now, this isn't a car I've actually driven, not this exact car, but a Lotus Exige 410 Sport. I drove it. It's in a video of old of my Emira journey. And I was in there with my oldest son, Jake, and it's a frightening car because it's got 410 horsepower, but it's like a ton, 1,100 kilograms. So the transference of that power to the road is visceral. I mean, it's like a slap in the face of a wet fish. It's brutal, and it follows every imperfection of the road, which means you've got to be on it if you're on it. You've got to be fully mentally tuned up to this car in order to control it, which makes it a fabulous road experience, of course. And of course, it's fantastic on track. But you really have got to be paying attention. That means that you get, after a drive, you're knackered, but you know you've had an experience. So this is an experience car, and as an experience car, it beats the Lotus Emira. Now, Emira, according to me, and the Lotus, a McLaren test driver, she believes it's another step on from the Emira, sorry, from the Exige and Evora on track, not just the road. Because it's just moved on, I suppose, and the electricity in that Lotus is amazing. But it does surprise me due to the weight, the power to weight ratio of this car. But she said it, and she wasn't saying it just because I was filming it, I think. But what a fabulous car. So it's a great livery combination in that it's just menacingly black. Look at that. And they've got a wicked interior as well with the gearbox, or the gear linkage, sorry, that you can completely see, which just adds to the experience. And the kind of doors clank when they close. It feels a bit brittle, but that just makes it feel like a race car. It feels like, before you even start driving it. Let's get to the interior shot, because that gearbox is amazing. So you've got lightweight, proper race, body-hugging seats, which you don't get in the Emira, of course, because that's built more for comfort. And this gear linkage, look at that. Oh, man, how good is that? For a life of me, I cannot understand why Lamborghini, Ferrari, Porsche, of all people, do not do this. As far as I know, only Pagani have an on-display gear setup. You hear it more, you obviously see it more, and therefore you feel more. I think that's just the most wonderful touch. So, low mileage. Well, 2018, actually, to be fair, 6 years, that's low mileage, a couple of thousand a year. But as I said, they're often mostly used on track. Usually it's a second car. It's not going to be a daily for the vast majority of owners. 3.5 litre V6, 410 horsepower. Yeah, go 0 to 62, 3.4, 170 odd mile an hour. I mean, what an awesome car. Now, these are retaining their value, and I thought they'd actually go up. As the Emira is creeping down, I thought the Exige 410, 420 and 430 Sports and Cups would actually increase and overtake it. It hasn't yet happened, although Emira's coming down. The Exige is pretty much staying where they are. But you'll see these for sale, 410 Sport, around this kind of 12 to 15,000 miles at about 62 to 68,000 pounds. So I'm pitching this as it's going to be a really good buy at 55 to 60. You know, the mileage is fine, the condition looks fine. Obviously, it's got the details on this one because it's currently a live auction. It's got about a week to go. So you can see that it's been well looked after and perfectly maintained and serviced at Lotus. So all the details for there, to go and have a look at it. Awesome. So you only live once. I mean, it's a midlife crisis car. But all that means is it's a great car, because it means you've thought about it. What do I need to make my life better? There it is. Right, next up. What I believe, let's discount the 540S. The 570S is, I believe, the entry point, the real entry point into McLaren ownership. And you're now getting these, are basically worth about the same as a second-hand Mirror. Where it beats my Lotus is that it's got much faster acceleration and the doors go up. And for me, that's two pretty good things, to be fair. If the Mirror was a faster car just in a straight line and doors went up, it'd be 150 grand. So you've got to just rein it back somewhere. But what a car to get into. Your first McLaren, this could be your first supercar. And I had a debate earlier today with my son. Is the McLaren 570S a supercar or is it just a sports car? Does McLaren become a supercar from the 650, 675 sort of onwards? Clearly, the 720 or 750 and above is a supercar. 650, 675, not sure. 570, yeah, I mean, it's definitely a sports car. Is it a supercar? I don't know. Jury's out. Let me know what you think in the comments below. But it's a Volcano Orange. Great colour for the car. Always sells well in this colour. I'm not sure the plate comes with it. It's got lots of carbon. To be fair, I think it's a really, really good spec for the car. If you want to get into McLaren ownership, then I don't think you can do much worse than that, to be fair. Good mileage at 14,700. Now, would you believe it? 7 years old. It's a coming soon car, so no further details. So wait for it to go live, and it might be now. I did this. I looked at and researched these cars a couple of days ago. Now, these cars are going. There's quite a lot for sale, between 74 and 80,000 pounds, with this similar sort of 14, 15,000 miles. So I think, if you're really going to get a bargain on an online auction of this site, I think you've got to be looking at 68 to 72. If you get it below 68, then you've done well. Now, the one thing that makes you want to go a bit lower on this is, at the moment, we don't know much about the provenance, but I'm assuming it's got a full history and it's been maintained perfectly. But you may want to consider getting a McLaren warranty, which I believe is somewhere between 3,800 and 4,200 a year. Yeah, that's right. That's how much it is. And if you bought one from a dealer with similar mileage and it was, let's say, 76, 77,000, then bear that in mind, which is why, you know, I'm pitching this at 68 to 72. But if you get it a bit lower, then you've just got more to play with. But it's an excellent car. They've proven fairly robust. It's still a bit of a scary proposition relative to buying a 911 or a Cayman 718 sort of car. But, I mean, look at it. And the doors go up. Yeah, right, next up, I've got a Ferrari. This is a 360 Spider in the very popular Blue Le Mans, or Le Mans Blue, a 2001 example. This is possibly the best colour the 360 comes in, apart from Rosso Kramer. If it's your first Ferrari, you may want to go down that route. But it's a fabulous car with the silver wheels in this colour, especially with the contrasting light interior, with the blue matching pinstripes. It's got a blue roof. I mean, look at that. Stunning car. It's a really pretty Ferrari. Now, some people think it's pretty, the 430. Some people say it's the other way around, but there really isn't much in it. They're both pretty, proper Ferraris. Now, you can tell by that starting bid and the fact that I believe you could probably get into this car between 56 and 65 grand, is that it's an F1 gearbox. Don't be scared of that. You know, the vast majority of F1 gearboxes are absolutely fine. It's more of a manual automated box. And so ways you could actually take it back to being a manual, and people have done that. But currently 34. Now, they've got 55 to 60 as an estimate. Oh, right, that's interesting. I actually didn't see that. In the marketplace, they're retailing 56 to 65. And manuals are starting around about the 70,000 mark. But I've pitched this that I reckon you should probably be able to get this between 52 and 58. Incredibly, in all details here, it's only got 2 owners, which is quite incredible for a 2001 Ferrari to only have had 2 owners. That actually is a very positive selling point. It's had a recent cam belt service, just the biggest thing you've got to worry about ordinarily day to day, apart from the bushes, which is always going to happen in the service anyway. 19,500 miles. If you can get this in that mid-50s price range, in that colour, with that provenance, what a fabulous buy. I mean, you're talking about, that's the price of a midships Audi or BMW. I mean, get that and boot look back. Obviously, the running costs will be more, but the depreciation will be less. So it all kind of equals out. Meanwhile, you've got a fabulous experience. Right, next up, yet again, I keep pushing this car. I don't know why, because I want to get one. All I'm doing is probably helping push the price up. A Clio V6, it's a phase 2, which is a slightly more sought after, usually 5 to 10 grand more, and the price will jump up even more if it's the liquid yellow colour or if it's got particularly low mileage. I've seen these go for 75 odd grand, the phase 2 V6s with low mileage, in that kind of liquid yellow sort of colour. Currently bid 18. Now they've estimated 29 to 33. Now given that it's got 62,000 miles, I can understand that, but I've got a suspicion that it might go higher. I think this is possibly a buy even at, well, not possibly, I think this is a buy at 33, given that low mileage ones are going for 50, 60, 70, 80, which means you've got money in there to possibly go up, even with that mileage. Because don't forget, the lower mileage cars we've used are going to have higher mileage by definition, and the price will therefore start to meet it, if you get if you understand what I'm saying there. So I think don't be too scared about mileage. If you're going to use it sparingly as a second car, it shouldn't scare you at all. And you're going to get a really rare, really special car, rare engined, rare wheel drive, super unique, show-stopping head turner like some of the cars I've shown you today. I don't think you can go wrong with this sort of car. It's been well looked after. 354 UK imports in total. This is number 55 and that a 2004 car, and it's called Iliad Blue. Nice. Really exceptionally wicked looking cars. They've got that wide stance at the front and rear, which you know I've got a weakness for. I mention it every time I do a video. Look at that. And this bit here, which was rear seating and normal Clio with the engine there, it's been widened out, wider track for better handling. The rear seats have gone, and that whole back is basically covering the engine. Look at that. If I can get one, actually that's side view. That's a bit mad, isn't it? Let's get one from the back, because back, look at that. What a wicked, wicked car. So yeah, if you can get this for low 30s, bash. All day long. Right, last up, so it's been a fairly quick video in terms of, or relative to the other videos that I've done. A car that I own. I saw one's come up for sale. Now it's a red one. We've all got our own, it's all subjective. But I think my colour being black is the right colour. They only made them in black, red and silver. 924 Carrera GT. It was based on the 924 Turbo, but then fettled. It's got performance kind of pistons. It's 200 pounds lighter or something, which is quite incredible. I never even knew that until about 2 days ago. I've had my car for a year. I really don't know much about it. I haven't had a chance to drive it. Now, these cars are super rare. They made 406. 6 of them were prototypes. That left 400. 325 of those were left-hand drive. 75 were right-hand drive coming to the UK market. I don't know how many of these are left on UK roads. Most will be sawn, some will be written off and damaged, burnt, whatever. I suspect it's in 1 or 2 dozen. But I've got no idea. I went to the big Porsche event at Bewley called Simply Porsche, which covers really the whole south of England, goes to it. And my one was the only one there. And I thought I'd see several. So that shows you these are rare as rocking horse poo. So let's have a look at more detail. I don't think that picture does it justice. It's in Guards Red, the very popular era relevant red colour. That's a better picture. It's got a bit more gloss and shine to it there. I mean, it's absolutely identical to mine, except that the colour's different. So it's got the proper, I think the 14-inch Fuchs alloys. It's got that rear bonnet. It's got the bit there. The intercooler sits there. On the GTS, which was only red, and actually this looks more like it, the intercooler was at the front here. But I think it's a wicked looking car. No one's got a Scooby-Doo what it is. They think it's a 944. That's gone wrong. Of course, the 944 was basically based on this look. So it had this, but it wasn't like riveted in like these are on the Carrera GT. It was like more seamlessly done, not as aggressive looking as this. Not anywhere close, and it doesn't have a front bonnet scoop, which really, really makes this car, doesn't it? Look at that. That's a good picture. So let's look into the details of it. Well, there you go. It's basically just said what I've said. And of course, it was homologated. The reason why they made this car is to homologate the 924 turbos. They could race it at places like Le Mans. And they did. They actually did race, not only at Le Mans, but other places as well. Now, other homologation special cars from other manufacturers are going between 100 and $250,000. And these are going between 60 and 100. So I think if you can get one of these for 60 grand, you're bloody laughing. Stick it away somewhere. This is a six-figure car. It will be. Mark my words. I don't know how long it's going to take, but these are all going to be between 100 and $250,000, depending on the mileage. Okay, granted, my one's got 105,000 miles. This one's only got 76,000 miles. If you can get this for 55 to 60, then that's brilliant. That's the right price. If you can get it below 55, you have got yourself a bargain of a century, even relative to other cars in this video. If it starts really bidding up because people realise what they've got here, then you might have to go 70 or 75 in able to actually get this car. But keep an eye on the bids. Car and Classic isn't as popularly visited as collecting cars, so there'll be less rivals, I think. I don't really know that is a fact. I'm just generalising. But if you can get that, I think if you can get that 55 to 65, at some point you will think it's the best decision you've ever made in your life. And it is a wicked car. It's actually light, like 1100 kilograms, 210 as standard horsepower, but it's a big turbo, and you can put a lot more boost through it. And it actually, once you're on song, it's a contemporarily fast car. Very surprising and pretty comfy to boot. And it's German, so it's going to be well built and have longevity built into it. Interested to see what you think about it. I mean, I think it's a very special car. I wouldn't have bought it, of course, but, and it's just, you know, because it's got the wide arches, so it's right up my street. But so there you have one, and keep an eye on it. Interested to see what it goes for. But I will tell you for sure, these are undervalued, and it'll be one of those next few cars that suddenly goes up. It goes like from 60 to 70 when one does come up, because no one really knows what they're worth. At some point, they're going to be 120, 150, and people go, oh, I remember when there's one of those for sale for 60. Mark my words, get it now. Of course, I would say that I'm biased. I want the prices to go up, but no, believe me, I stick to my guns on this. And a quick mention, what a fabulous plate, because obviously people would think it's a 944, or a 944 turbo or something special, but of course it's not a 944, and you'd have to say that quite a lot to people. It's actually a 924. Oh, awesome, awesome. Right, okay, well, I'll leave you there. I'll close it by saying the usual, you know, it's caveat emptor, buy beware, do your due diligence, look what else is out there. Is there a deal out there that actually you can get now with great provenance at the right price, so you don't have to go through the rigmarole of buying a car online and then paying for the commission and arranging to collect it. When you get a car from a dealer, of course, you can always go and see it. Now, you can do that with auctions. You've just got to rearrange it well in advance and be prepared to travel, because it could be anywhere in the UK. And I'm mostly only focused on UK-based cars. But, yeah, good luck if you're going to look at any of these cars. If not, it's great to keep your eye on the prices that these sort of cars go for, should you ever be in the market for any of these cars later on. If you've got any cars that you think I should be focusing on other future videos, then let me know. Obviously, I'll do it on a monthly basis based on the cars around at that point in time. So until next time, drive safe, ride safe out there, walk safe, run safe, whatever. Keep yourself safe. See you next time. 8 out.